I am not gonna be caught like a deer in a headlights today.
I,
Good
al- I
morning,
almost
everyone.
I almost was, but good morning, everyone. How was your weekend? Yeah, the deer in the headlights. Look, we were laughing because every time the show starts, we're going,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
Julia, you did a good job there. Very good.
I did, right? I was like in action already, and Oh, I'm gonna let you talk a little bit, Miley. I've got to go on Facebook and grab another picture. So
Yeah, we had somebody send something in for the appraisal show today that we're having. I love this show. This is such a good show. We get
yeah, it
so much great information out of this show. So John Grow will be joining us shortly. But folks, if you have any antiques or any items, any old items, and we're not talking about husbands or wives or anything like that, anything old that you got hanging around the house, send it to us because the first Monday of every month we have John Grow, who writes the appraisals column for us, and the Seeker. He joins us and he talks about the items to let us know if they're worth anything or not. So send your photos into appraisals at theseeker.ca. Try and get them into us at least by Friday at 5 because otherwise it gets a little bit too tight.
yeah, he needs a
And
little bit of time to
yeah,
do research and stuff. So
yeah, because
whoops,
he has
that's
to
not supposed to be there. Sorry. Okay.
got it. Got it. Yeah, one late edition. So yeah, send in your items. You have all month to do it.
Mhm.
So
So
this way
let's
we can
bring John in. And I'm
Good
gonna move.
morning,
good
and how are
morning.
you beautiful ladies doing?
Great,
We're,
great, great.
we're good. How are you? How was your weekend?
In Montreal the whole weekend, having a great time.
That's awesome. And the weather is, collaborating a little more now, so it's nice to go for walks and stuff.
Yeah, we put our fountain in the pond this week. So now it's
Mm.
spring is here. The only problem we have that stupid T word out there, ticks.
Oh,
They're already out there. I already felt one on Sheldon. He was
yikes.
out there 1 hour putting the fountain in the pond, and he already had one on him. So I'm terrified of those things because they're
Yeah.
so hard to find on you. And
Well,
then
you're
they
not in the
embed
right spot if you're
themselves.
terrified of those things.
They embed themselves in you, and then they're so hard to
They're
get
so
out.
gross, man.
They are gross. They're disgusting, but they say you got long sleeves, long pants, socks over your pants. And then I saw on Facebook somebody had put masking tape, light green masking tape
Oh,
with a sticky side outside. And this way they just stick to it so they can't get any further up your legs or anything. So guess what? What I'm going to be wearing all summer if I'm outside. Green masking tape every.
that's crazy.
They're horrible.
I've
Anyway,
never found one here. Like like my in my yard we go out all the time and I've never actually I'm lying. I found one on Mimi one time on my dog. So,
yeah, they are.
but not on us.
We were talking today. Are they even doing No Mo May this year? Does anybody
I
know?
haven't
Do you
I
guys
haven't
know?
seen No Mome. I think they steered away from it for some reason. I can't remember why, but I think they stopped it.
I can see why because basically there's
Well,
there's a lot of tick infest like there's ticks and all that. So your dog walks off the path, goes into someone's grass.
mhm.
Anyway, I don't know. Like I know you're good at looking it up. See if it's still happening because I have no
Well, if you
intention.
guys know anything about No Mome and if it's happening or not, let us know in the comments and I'll tell people. All right, so should we start our appraisals, John?
Yes, we will. And as a note, the information provided is basically for information, more like educational purposes, whatever values that I give. Uh, you cannot go to Walt Disney World if you have something. If you do have something of extreme value, please give me a call and I'm ready to help out. And we do not buy or sell. We are totally conflict of interest free. And with that, we'll start off with the first photo I have over here, which is a Victorian style piano stool. And this piano stool, I'm happy to say, I have one exactly like it behind me
Oh,
uh, that I got from a relative's home that when she had to have her assets disposed of, I was the person that was named as the liquidator of the estate, being a relative. And I still have this, and they are very common.
oh,
They made these. These are Canadian made, and it has a Chippendale style feet. The photo that I see on the bottom shows some sort of, well, it's not a claw, it's a snake head uh, with a ball or used as a roller inserted underneath. The workmanship is very good. It is Canadian made. Made in Ontario by a company that also made pianos. Craftsman, the styling is nice. Unfortunately, on the used markets, these do not obtain a very high value. You're looking on the secondary market around 25, maybe $40. If somebody falls in love with it, of course, you're looking at $60 to $75 on the secondary um, flea market type environment. With that,
wonderful. So I am going to say it is my piano stool. We got this from Sheldon's dad when he passed, and we use it as a coffee table for our coffees. So that's good price. Thank you.
yeah, it's over 100 years old. It's anywhere from
Wow.
130 to 100 or so years. So it could be anywhere from 1880 to 19, let's say 1920, but no later than that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a nice piece. It looks really good in the house.
Great.
All
Okay,
right.
moving on, we have a stove iron. These stove irons were very popular. Men who wanted their shirts or clothes nicely pressed, you put this on a wood-fired stove that had a metal plate. It heated up, and you used it on the iron. A lot of these devices were also used as weapons. If somebody wanted to attack somebody, it had the weight to attack somebody, and the flat surface, depending on where the person was hit, never left a mark.
Wow.
Unfortunately, this is rusted. And Canadian made, but people are not buying as they once were in the antique environment. This is something that somebody would have bought that would have went very nicely in a colonial home that would be, let's say, 200 years or so, that had a wood stove, and they wanted some artifacts from that era to put inside the home. These usually go for around $25, $35 on antique fairs. That is Canadian.
These things give me the creeps. Like there was an old French Canadian movie called Aurore l'enfant martyr, and she had a really mean stepmother, and the stepmother in that grabs one of those and she burns her face with the iron. And like ever since, I can't stand these things. They really give me the creeps.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Great French
Oh,
Canadian movies if you want to see it. It's like black and white, like really good.
What was
Great.
actually, sorry, I missed it because my lights behind me were flickering. So I don't know what was going on.
It was called,
What's it called?
like it's in French, right? It was called Aurore l'enfant martyr. It was based on a true story, and she had this stepmom who was like, so like, washing your mouth with soap, it kind of comes from that movie. Like, she does literally wash her mouth with soap. It's like the poor little girl was so fragile. And
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Old school Dave, we're having a movie show today too. All right,
well,
okay, let's move along.
a little bit of
Okay.
everything going on.
Going back to the previous item, could you
Oh,
imagine
sorry.
somebody being hit in today's
Oh,
world, or being attacked with a device like this,
Mm,
and the police report, well, the suspect used a 150-year-old iron. How is he going to describe the iron?
yeah, yeah,
People are going to think, you mean an ironing iron?
yeah, yeah. That's crazy.
yeah.
Okay, the picture. Unfortunately, these have very little value. Um, the market is not there. People are not buying these. After the war, Italy's economy was basically devastated, and they went into mass production of very of items that would help boost the economy. And ceramics, decorative ceramics, were very popular. They flooded the market worldwide. And at the time, whoever bought this thought it was nice. I don't know about its usefulness, but you'll be lucky if you get $20 in a flea market for this. If you wrap it with a red bow ribbon, it might make it look a lot nicer. But this is something that only a mother who would have used this in Italy, in the old country, would really love. Unfortunately, this is something that would not move on a garage sale or flea market table. I see these at all fairs of different shapes, different sizes, different colors, and they do not move. Also, if there's a little chip, if there's crackling, um,
It
it's
loses its
basically
value.
something. Yeah, it loses its value immensely to basically nothing, and then it becomes basically something that you donate to Goodwill, Value Village, and then Value Village, after a few months, they throw it away.
Hmm.
Or you can use it as a flower vase.
Yeah, you could use it as a
Put
flower pot.
flowers in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but as a picture, it doesn't have any. It doesn't have any use. The chances that the handle will be broken eventually, or the neck, the spout, um, it's something that will collect dust. I'm sorry to say.
Hmm. This one's in great shape, though.
Yeah, might be in great shape, but it's not going to move.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
Okay.
so
The person who sent the photos of the silverware, I do not know if it's sterling silver. I do not have any images of the underside of the pieces. So I'm going to assume this is silver plated or flatware. It has a quantity of silver, but today the younger market will not be purchasing this to use unless it's used in a movie set, play. Its only value is in the value of the melt silver.
mhm.
The photo of the sugar bowl doesn't show that it has a cover. I don't know if there's a cover associated with it, but this would do very well in an auction like Max Sold. In Max Sold is basically an online garage sale. They would have hundreds of pieces that would close every day a lot of flatware is sold and bought by people who basically take a chance that they're going to be able to extract a few ounces of silver.
Mm-hmm.
If it is sterling silver, the value rises immensely. And if it is sterling silver, there would be hallmarks that would show who the silversmith is, where it was created, neither Scotland, Ireland, the UK. If this was American made by a known silversmith, the value would jump into the thousands of dollars
Oh, wow.
US.
Wow.
But because I don't have any photos of the underside, I cannot determine if it's sterling silver, silver plated.
So just a reminder to everybody out there, if you send us some pictures, you need to make sure that we have all the details so John can properly appraise it. So the underside, any marking that's on your stuff, if it's gold, show us the 24 carats or whatever. If it's silver, same kind of thing, 925 or what it is in silver, I can't remember. I think it's 925, but just make sure that you have all the markings, all the information, like the back side, the front side, the top side, and that all the pieces are there.
Okay, next.
So I'm assuming similarly.
Yeah. Now anything that's like this, is it best to clean it or just leave it like it was? Does it lose value at all if you clean it, or what do you do with it?
Leave it as it is.
Okay.
A lot of the times, people have damaged. Number one, it's hard to believe that you could damage silver pieces or sterling silver pieces. It is better to leave it as it is. It shows the natural patina of silver over the years. Now, I'm happy to say that I know from experience these are sterling silver.
Mm-hmm.
The ones in back are definitely sterling silver. The ones in front, I would have question marks, but the ones in backs are notable books made by Burks in Montreal, and they could be anywhere from 120 to 80 years old. A lot of these sets were sold as wedding gifts at the time as sterling silver. So these would be anywhere from 2 to 3.5 ounces of silver, sterling silver, which would be worth about $100 per piece, 150 per piece.
Wow.
Sterling silver is pure silver. It's not coin silver. It's sterling 0.925 purity of silver. So in back, you have a low estimate, let's say, of $250 to $350 in back. And whoever sent these pieces, if they could send a photo of the underneath of the base, then I would be able to guarantee that, yeah, you definitely have something. The two pieces in front, they're hard to tell. I really can't comment if they are silver plated or sterling silver or a mixture of silver, pewter, copper. That I have no idea. I can't comment on that at all.
Okay.
John, that site that you said you can sell antiques.
Max Sold.
Max.
I'll put it in the comment. Max Sold. I keep track of it all the time. I get there.
Do you?
Yeah, it's a great site.
Okay, put it in the comments. And
unfortunately, you have one thing I have noticed, and I have spoken to a lot of people that look for just gold and silver on Max Sold. A lot of times they are overpaying for items because the seller is not providing enough information on the item that they're selling. So a person could be buying flat plate or silver plate that has very little silver, and they're paying extreme values for items that do not justify what the item is.
Okay.
And they're definitely not buying for the decorative or usability value. They're basically buying for the silver. But because they don't do the research, they don't have the education or experience, they're just buying on the hopes that it is silver. And I have spoken to boatloads of people who are doing this, and they will not invest the time to ensure that they gather and gain the knowledge and experience to make informed buying decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the items that you see on MaxSol, if I was to buy these items with the goal of looking to increase silver or gold in my holdings, I would bypass that directly. But
Okay.
then there's buyers for everything.
Yeah.
Such as this, for example.
Okay.
Is that an antique?
Well, it's hard to say from the picture, but I could tell you this: there is some copper copper and tin. I would have to say that the base alloy is tin, and you have a brass handle. It's hard to say how they did the coloration, but this is basically tin. On the inside, it might be copper plated. But items like this, yeah, this is anywhere from, 75 years old, 60 years old, mostly used on a wooden stove or an electric stove at the time. It was used because you have the burn marks on the handle.
Oh, yeah.
I should say, I don't know if you can, yeah, if you can see this. So, it was used. If if there is copper on the inside, the copper would be tarnished. So I wouldn't recommend using it today. It's more of a decorative piece,
Mm-hmm.
usable piece.
Okay.
It was put together. It was soldered. The spout on the neck of the spout where it attaches to the body, you see some silver solder. So there is some silver content. Probably maybe quarter of a gram of silver was used to solder this pot, but it would not be something that would be retrievable easy, and the time spent would not be worth it. These go on the antique flea market for about $20 to $25 US, because somebody is looking to if somebody has an older farmhouse renovated or a more
It's
older
an accent piece.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
it's decorative.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can actually see flowers in that one too.
Okay, this, without looking at the bottom, this could serve two uses. One is as a spittoon, and the other one is a flower pot. It looks like it's turned brass. Excuse me. This is nothing more than a decorative piece. It The styling denotes that it could be Turkish, or it could be from more of the Eurasia type countries.
Is there any value to it or no?
Basically, you'll see this on a flea market environment for maybe $20 on the
Okay.
secondary marketplace, or as a vase. But
Mhm. Now, the spittoon, what do you mean by spittoon? People spit in it?
Yeah,
yeah,
we've
people
seen
spit
those
Oh,
spittoons.
in bars of old, up until the 19, yeah, even until the 1950s. In places, you had these pots where basically people spit out their chewing tobacco. And if
okay.
you look at old cowboy western movies,
Yep.
you'll see a spittoon at the base of the bar,
Mm,
Okay.
and they were basically spitting out their chewing tobacco, and also using it as an ashtray. So the poor person who had to empty this and wash it,
ugh,
yeah,
Yuck.
right.
gross.
So
Okay.
this is basically a piece of. It has no historical value because these are fairly common.
Okay.
Okay, so next, I guess.
Okay.
So, oh, that little clock has no value. It's just a
Uh,
piece.
yeah, it has a marble.
Oh, let me go back.
Yeah, it has a marble place. It has a gilded copper frame on the marble upper piece, and the clock movement. Um, I do not have a picture of the back, but this is basically a mechanical movement. So you would wind it to power the mainspring of the clock, and you would have another knob to adjust the timing. And when the coil basically ran out, you had to wind it up again.
Yeah.
Um, these were made for the export market. It's definitely European. This could be Italian or French. This was sold to the export market, very popular in the late 1940s, 1950s. The flavor of these type of clocks basically ended in the 1960s. It's a decorative piece, very nice, but very low value. We're around $20 to $30.
Okay.
It's basically used to fill a space on a shelf
And collect dust.
and
And
collect
collect
dust.
dust.
Yeah.
This is so pretty.
It is very pretty. Um, India made and still makes a lot of these perfume or makeup um, boxes. They're dainty. These were made to put on a woman's dresser in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Um, Again, on the secondary value, it doesn't have very much. Anywhere from $15 to $30, depending on the condition of the brass. Um, it's a
I'd buy it for
decorative,
$15.
it's a decorative piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Okay, how big is it? Like it looks like it would be just like tiny,
Yeah, this would be basically take your two hands and form an oval,
like
and
this.
basically that's about the size. You had smaller ones depending on the type of cosmetics you would put into it, but
Hmm.
it was about 3-4 inches across and 2.5 inches wide. Some of them were a lot larger, like 8 inches, but
This
it's
one
hard to
looks
say from
tiny. Yeah. Okay. Chinese vase or Japanese vase.
Okay, the image is Japanese. I do not have an image of the bottom part. It's hard to see the condition of the vase to see if there's any cracking, if there's any chips. Assuming that there are no chips and there's no cracking, and assuming that it came from Japan, and if it came from Japan, it would be pre-war. If it's pre-war, its value, it would have a little more value. If it's post-war, you would have a stamp that says made in occupied Japan, because Japan was basically occupied by the Americans from
Mhm.
1945 to, let's say, 1950. And then you have the revolution or the reconstruction of Japan, let's say from, the 1950s on to the 1960s.
Mhm.
Items like this was mostly made for the export market to help boost their economy. Without seeing underneath who the maker is, this definitely came from a factory. This was not handmade. On a spinning wheel. The artwork is very, very nice. It's neither hand painted or it was basically printed on like a print, like a woodcut print.
Mhm.
Have a mold where they basically put this into a mold with the colors
Mhm.
and it's printed on. But from the photo, it's hard to say. And if I had a photo of the base, that would give me more information. But this could have been made anywhere from 1945 to 1960, 1970 timeframe. The chances that this is pre-war is very rare. Very rare because even though they did have a large export market before the war of exporting a lot of these vases, um, the chances that somebody would have one, I haven't seen very, very much. Most of the stuff that I have seen is 1950s, 1960s, unless it came from an estate where the people's ancestries were government officials. They had the chance of traveling to Japan, able to bring over a lot of items, or they were early travelers to Japan, which there are families who did that in the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s. But again, I cannot see the base, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Okay.
So next we have a group of 4 clocks from small to large. I don't know why somebody would have 4 clocks. I guess they're collecting them. So we'll start with this one here.
That's the smallest.
Okay.
Guys, chat for a minute. I'll be right back. I just gotta go do something right quick.
I'm just going to the picture of the 4 clocks. Okay.
So this is the smallest of the 4.
Okay, I want to make sure I had the right photo.
Okay.
Okay, one thing I cannot read is the maker of the clock.
And again, that would be on the base, right?
No, that would be on the dial above.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting to see what kind of markings and things you need to see. So you need them
Right,
on that.
Okay, right now I see something of Kerr, Kerr, and they're not made by the same maker. So these 4 clocks have different makers.
Hmm.
The display clock, these were sold basically as an ornament.
Yeah.
The these were made very popular from the 1950s to the 1960s. A lot of the times, the movement is neither Japanese or the movement is French. They just sold a movement to another company who would basically package a clock in a display case with the glass dome. These are copies of originals, which were a lot larger. Um, these first appeared on the market in the 1700s, not these models, but the originals in the 1700s, mostly in Germany, Austria, and also Switzerland. And a lot of the movements at the time could have came from the UK, France, Germany, or Austria on the originals. And the glass dome was hand blown by a glassmith. And they were a lot larger than what you see on the photos over here. And the base would have been basically a turned metal piece of brass, sometimes wood, depending on the era. But from the 1700s, you saw a lot of wood bases. And the movements would have been handmade, hand milled. The gears would have been cut on a pedal operated lathe. And some of these movements were very intricate, also very amusing to watch.
Mhm.
Very hypnotic, also.
Okay.
You watch these movements and they'll put you to sleep.
This large one there, it's got a key inside. Like, I guess you crank it with a key.
Yeah, these are all mechanical. They all the ones that you see with a key are mechanical movements. So you had to
Mhm.
wind up the power string power spring, which basically operated like, let's say, a toy clock. Same principle. And
Mhm.
you wound it. It will operate, let's say, for a day or two. Some of them lasted even longer, like 8 days. But the ones that were more expensive or valued and older would last anywhere from 4 to 8 days. These are decorative pieces. They were very popular in the 1950s because people had display shelves and they displayed these items prominently in one's home. The one that we see with the key and where it says solar, that is not a known manufacturer. This could have been done for the private label market. And today, well, let's say from the 1970s on, a lot of these clocks were made by China.
Okay.
So, you know, looking at these clocks, they don't have very much value. When I go to watch and clock collectors' flea markets in the States and in Canada, if you see these items over here, they are not valued more than $50 to $70 a clock. If if it was made by Patek Philippe, Jules Le Couture, Omega, then you would definitely have something that would be of extreme value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But these over here, they're probably made in China, and they're not something that would have immense value. The base, without seeing it, the base could be brass, it could be bronze, it could be plastic.
Okay.
The pendants that rotate on the inside could be nothing more than plastic weighted balls that are colored gold.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no gold plating in these models. The extreme one on the left, the solar with the solar on the dial, uh, that definitely would be neither potentially maybe a wooden base that's turned. It could be a plastic base. It could be brass.
I found the exact same clock and I got the bottom and it says it's Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could say Germany. The company could be German. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was made in Germany.
Okay.
Like every company, they would be buying stuff from all over, and they could private label, let's say, a Chinese company to say we want 100,000 pieces of this, and it's sold under that company's name.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
when I look at clocks or let's say watches, I'm looking for something that is identifiable that tells me that this is something special
Mm-hmm.
and unique.
Mm-hmm.
This was made for the mass consumer marketplace as decorative pieces.
Yeah.
I have examined clocks from the 1700 that were of the same style and model, let's say, but these are exquisite works of art. The valuations are in the thousands and thousands of dollars. And sadly, this is not the case of this. They're nice. They're nice to look at. But, you know, overall, if somebody's looking to sell the whole set, um, you know, they might get 150, they might get 200. It all depends on who falls in love with the piece.
Yeah.
With what? Yeah.
And and on that comment, when I go to different, let's say, flea markets, just to look around to see what people have and look, I see people are not buying as they once were.
Mm-hmm.
The days of the 70s and 80s where people are buying antiques like crazy are long gone. People are
Yeah.
much more careful about the dollars that they're spending, and
Yeah.
rightly so, because if you buy this item, it's not going to produce income. It's going to sit on the shelf.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along, we have a bowl. Oh, and this one's got a marking in the back.
Okay, made in Japan, the hand painted. This tells me that Notaki is a very common piece of ceramic. It's a great company. It has existed for a long time. This piece, 70s, mid 80s. The condition is excellent. Because it is hand painted, you cannot put this in the microwave. You cannot put this in a dishwasher. If you put this in the microwave alone without any material, you're going to see sparks fly
Mhm.
because
Okay.
the paint, sadly to say, has a potential of having lead traces or traces of lead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lead is very toxic, very poisonous. You could put fruit like oranges in this bowl. You could put wrapped candies. There's no worry of contamination.
Mm-hmm.
It is a decorative pieces. Which is why whenever you watch any of the older Japanese movies, let's say from the 1920s and 1930s, when they did have a movie industry, anytime you see anybody eating, the bowl is going to be white, pure white. It's not going to be fancy painted unless there's a requirement that shows, let's say, a high official or let's say the emperor eating out of a fancy bowl, but it would be only done for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
They
Oh,
always use white bowls because there's no chance of contamination.
makes sense.
So, this is a candy bowl, a fruit bowl, but definitely not a bowl to eat out of. And from the look of the bottom, it doesn't show any crackling. Very great condition. For somebody who's into Japanese ceramics and loves the Noritake label and collects them, there are collectors of this. This would go on the secondary market anywhere from $35 to $50. And the reason I would say $50 is that sometimes this pattern is a known pattern, meaning that they use this flowery image on many other items, such as teacups, decorative teacups. So somebody that has a set of, let's say, teacups would be looking for this bowl. They
Too
would
much.
probably pay $50 for it to
Okay.
continue their
Makes
collection.
sense.
But if you put this on eBay, you might be able to get $25, $30, less the eBay fee, less the time to put it on.
Okay. Sounds good. And our last piece for today.
Okay. We got this autograph photo of Bing Crosby. Now, when the owner of this piece sent the photo in, I saw Bing, but I could not, from the photo, make out Crosby. It's his image. The signature looks like he probably signed it, but without forensic analysis on the signature, I'm assuming that it's original. And because I could not see Crosby, knowing, yeah, that is Bing Crosby, but I can't see the signature. Can I say that it's Bing Crosby? As a professional appraiser, I would need more more validation to say, yeah, that is Bing Crosby. That looks to a certain degree or assumption that the autograph is correct. Uh, it's addressed to Frankie. I'm notified by the owner of this photograph that he bought it off of eBay. Bing Crosby photos do fairly well. The value in Canadian dollars will range anywhere from $150 to $250. My concern is, can you see the Crosby part of the photograph clear enough in person or under, let's say, magnification that you can see Bing Crosby? And also, I'm curious as to what era. The era of this looks to be about 1940 from the style of previous photos that I have viewed and have also appraised. Now, when appraising any photographic items such as this with an autograph, the ideal situation would be to take a photo of the person who's autographing the photo and try to get a photo of you with the gentleman or person, celebrity, or whatever,
Mhm.
with the photo in view. That shows that the person signed the photo, and you have a photo of you with the person holding the photo, the autograph photo. That proves without a doubt that the person was there, he signed it, and ideally it should also have the date.
Okay.
These are items that are looked at by serious autograph collectors, and also people who buy and sell autograph photos or even autographs. As you go back in time, it's harder to have photographic evidence. Somebody who comes up and says, "Oh, I have a photo of George Washington signing the Declaration of Independence."
Mm-hmm.
The chances of that happening is very, very odd. Even though photography in Europe and France existed around 1710 onwards, the chances that somebody from 1776 was a photographer in the land of America, took the photo, is out of the ordinary. That would be outer limit type environment. No proof of a photo has ever,
Yeah.
existed. George Washington, portraits, paintings, yes, but no photographs. It's
Mm-hmm.
like somebody saying, "Well, I have the original pocket watch that was worn by X and so, from 1500."
Yeah.
Well, you know, pocket watches existed from about 1520 in Europe. By the time they made their way into the North American marketplace, the earliest pocket watch dates to about 1720.
Mm-hmm.
So, we look into a lot of forensic analysis, and we also say, hey, if we have this, then this rings true. But if any of those items that we start questioning doesn't ring true, then we say, well, we can't do this. A perfect example is you have to assume today that everything has been copied by the Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
And I got these photos of these unopened, sealed boxes of trading cards. I will not divulge the trading card, but these trading cards in American auctions went for about $200,000 American for
Wow.
a complete box. Now, the Chinese are copying everything from Seiko to Casio watches, and Seiko and Casio watches are not extreme value watches, but they're still copying it because they're making money off of it. So they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be looking for all the items that are, let's say, high value to copy for, let's say, a few $100 on the chance that they could make a very large return of, let's say, $100,000 or $150,000 US. So a box of trading cards is very copyable, and trading cards are very copied by the Chinese. So you get these photos of boxes, and they're not high resolution photos, so you can't really examine the boxes. You can't have an opinion on, okay, these look like real, and this is how much the evaluation will be to evaluate this. Now, this gentleman has 3 boxes. So the potential value is about, let's say, off the top of the head, $600,000 US. Now, for me to do an evaluation report that I'm going to affix my signature on to say, well, he has $600,000 of value in these 3 boxes, I have to be 100% sure, and these are the reasons why I have to be sure, because you get these insured by a notable insurance company, such as Chubb or AXA. If anything happens, they're going to go through a complete forensic analysis. They're going to be taking apart my appraisal report, which is very detailed in every wording and every dot and grammar on my whole report. And basically, it puts me at liability to say that, this gentleman had $600,000 US of value in these 3 boxes of cards.
So you have to
And
be sure 100% that.
Yeah.
right. And people
Yeah.
do not realize that a role of a professional qualified appraiser is, and there's a lot of people who call themselves appraisers, and I'm sorry, we're only 49 or 50 in all of Canada, and we know each other. We work on cases together. We consult, we collaborate, we go to the same courses. We have to prove our course hours. We have to prove everything that we have. We have a board of trial for our appraisal reports. We have to take requalification courses on our specialties. We have legal courses that we have to take that are noted and documented. It becomes a very serious game. So for us to say that we're producing a report that you have let's say $600,000 of value, we have to justify that. We have to come up with that, and we also have to examine the possibility that these might be counterfeit, and we have to evaluate from known counterfeits that this is the case. And we also have a lot of extraordinary assumptions that we put into our report that detail, okay, we have this, but please note this, and this on your case. And we recommend that you have to have these box of cards graded by one of 2 nationally known and accepted grading companies that basically certify that the condition of these boxes are X, and these cards or this box of cards is genuine.
Wow. It's a lot of
Okay.
detail.
So,
It's like having an autographed photo of Jesus Christ, on auction. That would be worth. It would be priceless, but they don't exist. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, that's good to know. So if you do get an autographed photo of anybody, get a picture of them autographing it and you with them holding it, so it's actually that person. So when I go to meet my Ozzy Osbourne, I'm gonna make sure I'm in the photo. With
You got tickets?
Not yet, but I wonder. Well, actually, I have seen him in concert many years ago. He was awesome.
no autograph though.
Okay. Well,
no autograph. Next time I saw Prince as well. I should have got an autograph picture.
Well, now that you're a member of the Seeker, you might want to get a media pass, and you'll be able to meet him and get an autograph.
Well, you know what? I met Prince at a gym at a hotel in Toronto, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I went to the gym, and he was there, and I said, "Hey, you're that guy," and he says,
that
"Yes,
guy."
And we spoke. Very nice guy, unbelievable.
Lucky you. That's like one of my all-time favorite musicians.
Yeah.
Well, I saw him in concert in Ottawa a little bit before he passed.
Well,
awesome.
going back in the concert routine, jazz great. I met Cab Calloway. You would think I didn't have a camera. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have my phone. Phones didn't exist at that time. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I was at the Montreal concert in 1976 at the Montreal Olympic Stadium. The big concert. It was one in a lifetime environment. I've been to an America concert, Gentle Giant, Jethro Tull, Genesis, Beach Boys.
Hey, let me stop you while you're having the phone thing in mind. I'm wondering this, like, what if you had your phone and you see somebody and you take a picture with them and you ask them to autograph the picture, but digitally? Would that have any value? Like you edit the picture and he signs with his finger or something?
Oh my
I
gosh.
wonder if that would have any value.
You know, there are debates that are going on right now, and I have to say that I do not have enough information, or I haven't looked into it to offer an opinion. Um, but
But
that is
hey, it's
something
a
that
new
is
digital
very,
world.
you know,
Yeah.
basically it would be more valuable if he signs, let's say, a hotel notepad,
Mm-hmm.
and you have his picture taken at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But wow, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out with this new digital world that we're in. Anyways, guys, it was
We
super
are,
interesting
yeah.
today. It's already 11:02. We've overstayed our welcome.
Yep.
So,
So
John,
John,
thank you so much for being
yep.
with us today.
And
Thank you very much.
John will be back on June the 2nd, so you have about a month to send in your items for the next show.
Absolutely.
Appraisal.theseeker.ca.
Yeah,
Thank you
send
very
them
much.
in, and we'll see you next month. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
All right, I'm gonna remove Bing Crosby there. Okay, so
Lots of great
just so you
information
know,
as always.
yeah, absolutely. But I'm really curious about that digital thing now. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
get me, it's gonna be puzzling to me. Anyways, I just want to tell everybody that we're working on our Seaway Staycation issue of the Seeker that's coming out in June. So if you have any things, like if you're a person that caters to
Tourism.
travelers or tourism, you
Tourism.
can just get in touch with us and to place an ad. You have until the 22nd to send in your information.
And send that into info@theseeker.ca.
Correct.
Now, I'm
So,
also on the Seeker side doing a little bit about a seniors. So again, if you're related to anything to do with seniors, any businesses, send it in to info@theseeker.ca. Deadline is 22nd of May. And the May Seeker should be back any day. We're getting excited.
yeah, absolutely. So, on that note, have yourself a great day.
And a super duper week. Bye for
Bye
now.
for now.